Kennedy, and we're here at Shelby America for their Cars and Coffee. And with me is Phil Stafford. He has a 1969 AMC Rambler. And Phil, tell me about this car.
Sure. I acquired it about a year ago. The car was a one owner, like a traditional little old lady owner, one owner. It was all original. The car is all original specifically. So I actually, before I started work on the car, I had acquired this motor that I put into it, this LS3 motor. And it's from a friend of mine that I've known for many, many years, and he won it in a JAGS raffle, and he's a Mopar guy. He doesn't like Chevy motors. So I acquired the motor from him, and I found the AMC, the Rambler. It's a Rambler Rogue, and it's it's a very rare car to begin with. They only made about 3,500, 3,600 of these to begin with, but it was the perfect car to have this donor swap with the LS3 motor. So what I did is it's a LS3, it's a 525 horsepower LS3. I took a 4L80E automatic transmission from Gearstar. It's their phase 3 transmission. It can handle about 1,000 horsepower. So my goal was to build this car to be able to handle lots more horsepower than I have now. Yeah. But I had to also include a 4-link rear suspension from Control Freaks, and that I used a Curry 9-inch forward rear end with 355 gears. So the whole car the drivetrain has all been swapped. The car itself is all original. So paint and the interior, everything else is the way it was when it was came from the factory. So so the car is designed so I can road trip it if I want, I could race it if I want, I could do some burnouts, maybe do some burnout competitions if I want, but my goal was to make it a sleeper car. I wanted, when people look at the car, if the hood is down, it would still look like an original Rambler. I also included and upgraded the wheels and tires, so I used Magnum 500 rims. They're the kind of the standard rims that you would find on AMC cars specifically, but that was part of the look I wanted. I wanted a nice clean look and keeping it all original specifically.
So what performance data can you give us then?
Sure, on the motor, like I mentioned, it's an LS3 6.2 liter motor. It's a crate motor, so it's set up for 525 horsepower specifically. So all I'm doing is I use the original General Motors performance harness and CPU to be able to drive the motor itself. So probably to the wheels, I haven't dynoed it yet, but I'm thinking it's going to be around that 500 horsepower to the wheels, give or take. It also has a little bit of a mild aggressive cam, so when you hear the car run, it definitely does not sound like a normal LS3 motor. And I have a Flowmaster 40 mufflers on it, so it gives a little bit more aggressive sound specifically.
So what were the obstacles of putting this vehicle together?
Obstacles, good question. There were several, right? So the first thing I had to do is figure out how in the world I was going to put this LS3 motor and transmission and drivetrain into this Rambler. So the interesting thing is that the Rambler itself has a wider engine bay. So the obstacle that I thought I was going to encounter was fit. So the good news is that when I put the engine in place, there was no cutting. I didn't have to change or modify anything in the engine bay or the suspension or anything. So surprisingly, there were very little obstacles when I put the car together. I did have to also replace the original gas tank that was in there because that was going to conflict with the 4-link suspension. So I had to make sure that I had a replacement. I ended up using a 1966 Mustang gas tank. It just fits in there, and it gives me the clearance that I needed specifically. But other than that, there really wasn't any other challenges other than the fact this was my first LS swap, and so I had to have a learning curve on how to manage the LS harness and all the connectivity that was a part of that, plus the other part of connecting the transmission controller and make it talk together with the LS computer system.
So how would you classify this vehicle?
Well, my goal with this car and this build was to have a sleeper style build. I refer to it as a sleeper because when you close the hood and you look at the car, there's nothing that determines that it's got a high horsepower motor and drivetrain in it. So that was my original goal with the car.
Wonderful. And then probably the best question, what's the fun factor of your vehicle? What do you love most about your car and taking it out on the road? Yeah, well, that's a great question. So the fun factor is a lot of horsepower and a lot of fun. The car is super lightweight. It's because it's a sleeper and you're driving it, people are just continuously rolling their windows down and asking me, number one, what kind of car is it and what the heck is in that car, because it doesn't sound stock.
The fun factor, again, will be expanded once I could get it on the drag strip and see what it can perform as, and then also want to get it on the dyno and see where it performs at as well.
That sounds absolutely amazing. So what are your plans then from here?
Well, my plans is I want to get some more miles in the car. Right now I only have 200 miles since I finished the build, so I'm still just kind of working through the bugs. But my main excitement going forward is doing some long road trips and doing some power tour events as one of those, or a drag and drive type of an event. So that's my long-term goal with the car.
Bill, thank you so much for telling me about your 69 AMC Rambler today. I can't wait to see you on the road, and I can't wait to see you guys on the road. I'm Kennedy, and we're at Shelby Cars and Coffee.
Right now, let's see, we got about 219 miles on the engine. Still braking it in. You ready for some more braking? Okay. So I can't wait for LS Fest, and I built this to do some burnout competitions, so it's designed for that. Designed for the horsepower. Designed it for 1,000 horsepower, so I've got a lot more room to grow on it.